everybody. Welcome to Friday and Filecoin's first birthday. Happy to be here to talk about the work that we're doing, both protocol labs and around the ecosystem. And today also with Ani from Brave. And we're going to have a little conversation about some of the things that both Brave and protocol labs and the overall IPFS in browsers ecosystem are doing. So a quick intro. Who are we? My name is Dietrich Ayala. Been working on IPFS things for a couple of years now. Came from the browser world, working on Firefox and Firefox OS and developer advocacy and other things for a long time before that. And I would like to introduce my conversationalist for today from Brave, Ani.
Hi, Dietrich. First of all, thanks a lot for having me here. This is actually the second time we are in conversation. The previous one was in Browser 3000, something like that, a couple of months back by IPFS. And yeah, so I'm really excited to be here. So to introduce myself, my name is Ani. I'm a wallet engineer at Brave, where I'm working on a crypto wallet that's natively part of the Brave web browser. So I have a background in crypto. Previous to that, I worked at Ledger on on a custody software for financial institutions. So we had clients starting from exchanges to even banks or family offices. So that was a fun experience. Now I'm back to more being closer to the community and building stuff for end users. Which was a lot different from what I used to do before that. Yeah.
I did not know that about you. Now I know a little bit more. I think first, maybe let's spend a couple of minutes talking about some of the initiatives that we have going on. I'll start with a couple of things that we're doing in the broader browser world, and then we can hear a little bit more about what's going on in Brave World. What are the core things that we do in the IPFS ecosystem to ensure that IPFS and related technologies are available to developers on the regular web is that we work with native browsers to get support of the protocol inside of them. This year, we saw a couple of major launches. One of the first things that happened this year, I think it was late January, Brave launched the first IPFS native node functionality inside of a major desktop browser. This is really a big moment for the availability and accessibility of IPFS to regular web users in a truly decentralized way, where their browser actually was a participating node in the IPFS public network. We've been working with Brave ever since on smoothing out that functionality, figuring out what we can build on top of it, and really determining what is the end user experience for a native IPFS web. What does it mean when your web browser might be sharing some of the stuff that you have browsed to? What does it mean, again, now with the advent of NFTs, what are the types of functionality that we can have in a browser that has both your cryptographic identity through its wallet and also you're constantly browsing the cryptographic assets that you are either interacting with communities with or have purchased even. So really looking at kind of what the next types of functionality are there with Brave. The Opera actually shipped also this year in iOS, which really concluded the triad of tier 1 support for the IPFS protocol in Opera browser this year. So you can get it in Opera Touch on iOS, Opera browser for Android, and also Opera desktop all support IPFS protocol in the address bar. So you can load IPFS assets directly from dApps using that address format. And it forwards the request out to a IPFS HTTP gateway. So it actually uses the dweb.link gateway there to proxy those requests. So that's really an improvement for developers, and especially again, as different platforms are loading IPFS assets off IPFS natively, really reduces the frictions for them. One of the other interesting initiatives that we've been pushing on this year, and we just actually funded a grant for with Web Recorder, is about the Web 2 to Web3 archive and migration flow. So while Web3 is obviously what we're building, we're super excited about, it's really important and part of the mission of Protocol Labs. And one of the core use cases of IPFS protocol is about taking data that might be under threat of not being available at some point and making sure that it's available for as long as people need it. So we're working with folks like Web Recorder to, one, standardize kind of like the format and stack for Web 2 to Web 3 data migration inside of browsers, but also outside of browsers, and looking at large scale crawling and archival use cases. We're also doing some research on that end too with Internet Archive and Old Dominion University around really just how under threat is the web today, and Web 2. Is the web growing or shrinking? How much of the web is actually moving off of the web into unarchivable places, like either behind a login gateway like Instagram or Facebook, or into native apps. So doing research just to understand still just how big of a problem is this, the availability of our human effluent online being available for future generations, or even our immediate uses when things like politicians maybe take down their tweets or change their the message on their website to obscure what things they've said before. So a lot of different reasons and use cases why this Web 2 to Web 3 stack and migration path for archiving and making sure that data stays secure is really important. And I think the third area that we're really looking at, and especially looking into 2022, is around mobile and mobile use cases. So we've done some work already with Brave shipping IPFS mobile features. As you just heard, Opera also already ships IPFS protocol support in their mobile browsers on Android and iOS, but we're also working with projects like Puma browser to add IPFS support into a more Web3 native experience for that browser, and experimenting with projects like the Birdie project on what it looks like when you actually have a full IPFS node running inside of mobile browsers. Right now it's pretty heavyweight for a lot of use cases, but sometimes that's a trade-off that you want to make, and we want to be able to ensure that that opportunity and that possibility is available for people that need it most. We're also looking at ways to leapfrog even the constraints of extractive platforms like Android and iOS with experimentations like a fork of KaiOS that has a bundled MetaMask and actually supports IPFS protocol natively. So you could actually have a Web3 device that is running an operating system that's basically the web platform plus Web3 functionality. So we're really interested in understanding what the opportunities are there for a more Web3 native web experience moving forward. And we're going to see a lot more of that stuff in 2022. I think one thing that I probably bring up later when we have talk about this stuff is things like interoperability and standardization. So we can push hard on these things in individual products like Brave or Puma or Opera, but without a level of interoperability and standardization, the barriers for developers and their daily pain points that they experience is still really high. So maybe we'll talk about that if we have time before this half hour is over. What's going on at Brave?
So one of the things that people are like, a lot of outsiders are not used to Brave as the company. They think is that it's just a browser company, which it's not. It's more like an internet company. So browser being the primary, the first product that we ship. The other ones being search. We have our own search engine. We have a Brave Talk for video conferencing, and the latest addition to the Brave suite of products is I'm excited to share with the community is a native wallet right in your browser. So this is now available by default in the nightly channel, which means in a couple of weeks, I think in 4 weeks, it will be available in the release channel and shipped to our 40 million monthly active users, which is a big deal. Well, I know that my dad has Brave installed on his phone, and voila, he's going to have a crypto wallet by default without even having to install it. And that's really the kind of the power of browsers and what they can bring to this ecosystem. Just to speak a few things about this wallet. So first of all, it's not a browser extension, which is something that we are usually using for accessing dApps. So this is a core part of your browser and implemented in C++, which makes it more secure. So it's not an extension. And it's also low on CPU and memory because it doesn't have to rely on an additional background process that's always polling things. also improves the user experience overall. So overall, I think it's going to give a very fast user experience, something that people are used to, people are familiar with, but which is available out of the box in the browser. Another cool feature would be that it is multi-chain. So it's right now it's just supporting EVM and EVM compatible chains. But we are going to gradually add support for things like Bitcoin or your favorite Dogecoin or whatever that is, because we wouldn't like to take a stance on what's our favorite currency that we provide as a for users to access on our wallet. It's whatever they feel like using, because all of these are open protocols and we have to support them in our wallets. And something that could be of interest to the Filecoin community is that we are adding support for Filecoin in this native wallet through Ledger for now, and the next step after that will be to have that natively in the software wallet queuing. So you can bring your Filecoins and manage, take self-custody of it in Brave Wallet. So that's what we have right now. We are going to make, we're going to have a lot of updates in and around Wallet. So always stay tuned. Feel free to try it out on the Nightly channel. If you have any feedback, you can always reach out to me or anyone at Brave, really, on Twitter. That's the best place to send your feedback to us. And I'm really looking forward to it.
That's fantastic news. Congratulations on the wallet being available in Nightly by default. I know shipping critical features like this inside browsers can be a hair-raising experience, and being on by default in Nightly is a big accomplishment. So congrats to you and the team. Excited to play around with that. And also fantastic. We've been working with you all on Filecoin support for that wallet, so we're excited to see that happen as well. There's a couple of things that I think would be interesting for people who are watching to learn about. I think even if you're a web developer, a lot of times you don't spend a lot of time thinking about why a browser is popular. It's a single channel to, or one of the channels that you have to your users. But when you're making a browser, you have a different set of responsibilities, both around user safety, but also around the broader ecosystem. I think something you said when you're talking about the wallet was really interesting, which is when developing that wallet, you don't necessarily want to pick a winner of any of these cryptocurrencies. The idea is to support what the users need most. This is one of the challenges that we have in IPFS and protocol development generally as well. When we're thinking about integrating different naming systems or something like that, we don't want to pick winner. We want to be able to have the decentralized platform be able to meet kind of the long tail of different users' needs. And that's one of the main differences, I think, between the work that we're doing in Web3 and the web platform today, which is maybe a little bit narrower view on one single type of common denominator. For Brave, as you said, as an internet company, not just a browser company, how do you think about that generally? You're developing a wallet, you're developing a search engine, you're supporting different chains and different tokens. How important is that for you, and how much does that come into your thinking, Brave, when you think about interoperability or standardization?
Well, I think neutrality of protocols should be primary to things like web browsers, because it is the most commonly installed software in most users' devices. It is actually the most sophisticated device software that you have on your smartphone right now. So if most of your screen time is spent on a browser, and if you use it to interface with the world, with the Web3 world or Web2 world out there, then it's really the job of the browser to keep things neutral. And well, you can think of privacy as kind of achieving something like that, where you try to provide the user with a safe browsing experience. if you think about it, like I've not been using browsers since a very long time, but not long back ago, like, to just imagine that you can browse the internet without ads, it was something unimaginable, at least for me. Okay, I didn't know about efficient ad trackers out there. Maybe they didn't exist, but now it's part of your browsing experience, and it's like the core value proposition of Brave. So I think going forward, what will happen is there will be these niche browsers, each having their own strong point. If you care about privacy, maybe you go for Brave. If you don't care about privacy, maybe you go for something else like Chrome. I don't know. Um, that's really important because we have reflected the same thing with search and with all the other products that we have, even with Brave Talk. It is end-to-end encrypted from day one, unlike Zoom, which was not for a long time. I think, at least for Brave, I can speak for Brave that whatever we do, the products we build, they have to send a coherent message to the user that, okay, if you care about privacy, if you care about open access to protocols, then we have a suite of products that can allow you to do that. Even integration with things like IPFS, it's achieving the same goal to a large extent.
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of it comes down to choice. As you know, if I don't make web technologies, but I'm a user of web technologies hat on. I want to be able to have a choice, and there are not really a lot of products that give me that ability to have that choice. I tend to scratch my own itch a lot with browser extensions, and I've done a lot of work with browser extension APIs, even developing some of the APIs, and that surface area of what I can do as a developer is increasingly constrained. One of the big changes that we're going to have this year that's affecting our development priorities is the advent of Manifest v3 in the browser extension architecture and infrastructure. There's now a browser extensions community group at the W3C, which is, I think, a really good move in terms of standardization and interoperability and community direction of the features and surface area. But the big architectural change that kind of made that happen was Manifest v3, which is a reduction in what I can do as a developer when I'm building an extension. Things like our IPFS companion extension, or probably even projects like MetaMask and things that our web wallets are going to have to basically do a major rewrite, probably like we are for Manifest v3. But even within that rewrite, we have to move functionality from our extension out into our desktop application that runs the IPFS daemon itself, until, of course, we get native support for that across more browsers. And I think this is one of the challenges that, as a user, I have less choice in most of the browsers. And even as a developer, kind of the ability that I have to be able to change what a browser experience can be, to give more capabilities to end users, to put more choice in their hands, even that API, and feature and capability surface areas is being more constrained over time. So it's exciting to see an approach that does have that choice or openness at the very least at the basis of how you're thinking about feature prioritization and standardization. I agree too. I did a talk, well, how long ago? So long ago now, it feels like at a DWeb camp a couple of years ago. You're like, oh, it was pre-COVID. It was a different time. People were gathering together in person. And I did a talk about whether the one size fits all browser era is at an end, because there are all these ambient pressures pushing on what the internet users' needs are that aren't met by a one-size-fits-all security model, a one-size-fits-all privacy model. We can rhapsodize about the web that we know know today, but one of the largest problems that is on the web today, that even companies like Google spend really a large amount of money on, is things like malware and safety protection. The DNS is not. The intersection of DNS and SSL is not a panacea for safety online, and that's been one of the major challenges in Web 2. what do you think is what do you think are the challenges that face Web3 developers today? We're seeing an explosion in dApp development. We're seeing an explosion in NFT platforms, NFT development. What do you think the major pain points that they hit are in browsers from what you're seeing?
It's a great question because, so first of all, we have come a long way. If you see the first browser that was ever built, it was at CERN. It was, by the way, you can still try it out. I think it's archived somewhere in CERN's website. I gave you the shot, so it seems like it's 1,000 years old. Like it seems to be an era that I'm just not. I cannot digest that, but there could be a browser that's like that. But even at the time, to achieve such a feat was really it was a big deal. And so first of all, we have to acknowledge that we have come a long way, but we have a long way to go as well. So I would like to categorize these challenges into several buckets. The first being UX challenges. So there are a lot of quirks with browsers, not just with browsers, but with these new age protocols that we're integrating. The thing is, we've been lucky so far because all these users we have had so far, they have been early adopters. And they can work their way around these quirks. They know how to figure things out. They know what IPFS is. Okay, but for the next billion users who are going to be onboarded to these platforms, it should be as seamless as watching a YouTube video and not knowing if you're using UDP or TCP/IP. And we have to go to that level of user experience. And if you think about it, a browser, the role of a browser, or what Brave is trying to do, is to craft a user experience around these protocols. The basic user experience is around TCP/IP, so you can visit websites and everything. Now you have integration with IPFS. Now you have a crypto wallet. All these are like you're building on top of Ethereum protocol, IPFS, TCP/IP, so on. So we have to figure out how we can make it so intuitive that the user wouldn't know if they are visiting IPFS website, which is already pretty much the case. If you can use these various gateways, there are a lot of things happening behind the scenes. You can spin up a local IPFS node, which is a big deal for a browser. Like you can trustlessly access content from IPFS, cryptographically verify. There's a lot of things happening behind the scenes. But still, we need to iron out many other issues in UX department. I would say, yeah.
I think we're nearing the end of time, but I think that's a great point to wrap up on, which is that we've made huge strides in making Web3 technologies available in browsers, and honestly, with the unbelievable kind of month-over-month growth that you're seeing over at Brave, those technologies are available to more people in a frictionless way than has ever probably been possible. But even that said, there are really huge challenges ahead in the design of the security UI, the UX of privacy and security models that are new and different than what we're used to, and how you bring these types of technologies to people in a way where they understand the trade-offs that they're making, and gaining some superpowers in exchange for different things that they have to trade away. They need to be able to understand what that means. So we're super excited to be able to work with Brave to be able to figure out some of those problems, attack those challenges, and push capabilities and the abilities of Web3 out into end users' hands. So thanks for joining today. Awesome to talk to you again. Congratulations on the native wallet shipping in nightly. And I will definitely go check it out. Thanks everybody, and happy first birthday to Filecoin. See you next time, next year.